Today in the crypto space, we see the market taking a bit of a hit. Bitcoin down approximately 3%, Ethereum down approximately 3.5%, and the rest of the crypto space, some of them deep in the red. We have Cardano, XRP, Aptos, Near Protocol, Doge, and many others. In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, but more importantly, I want to talk about Ethereum. What's going on with the Ethereum price that is causing all this negativity? Of course, let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome on the channel. We talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunity. Whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 8 p.m. EST, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. All right, guys, let's begin. What's going on here today in the crypto space? Is never a boring day. And lately, to be honest, it hasn't been very profitable either. The market cap is falling once again, down approximately 4.7%. It's not a good look for this crypto space to see such an amount of a drawdown. And we can see the trading volume has increased significantly, given the fact that we are getting a bunch of FUD. And this FUD is obviously, it's not FUD if it's fact. And we'll talk about that. Let's go see what's going on with the space. Of course, it's all about ETH and it's all about Bybit. So Ethereum short positions are surging. And the FUD on ETH, or the FUD, is basically building on the fact that Bybit got hacked. Okay, so it has a multi-sig wallet. The multi-sig wallet was exploited. And in that case, the Ethereum reserve that Bybit has has been taken and stolen. But the good news is Bybit has came out and made a very, very strong statement saying that they have all the funds safe, in the sense that they are backed 1-to-1 and no concerns whatsoever. No one needs to be concerned. Okay, which is great. But what most importantly here is what's happening with ETH. People are getting into heavy shorts, and you can see that there's an imbalance in the market where we see a disparity now exists between longs and shorts. As you can see, there's so many more shorts being built at this current moment because people are expecting it to fall. Guys, I'll be honest, I was one of them. I got into a short real quick and I exited already, but it's not the point. The point is that when you see this type of volatility, you got to step back and say, is this a short-term thing? Is this going to last? Is this a black swan event? Absolutely not, right? And we know that exchanges go through these things, right? We know that this has happened in the past on other exchanges. We're still in the wild, wild west here, guys. This is just a reminder, a healthy reminder to everybody, and a very expensive reminder for Bybit, that ultimately, there is a need for a software solution here. We need, perpetuals, dexes. We need dexes to basically improve their technology so we can trade on a DEX, and obviously in that case we can still hold our capital in self-custody. That is the best future for trading. But at the current moment, we require that the centralized exchanges hold liquidity as reserve, and ultimately, in this case, there is a centralized choke point where you see a wallet can be drained of its liquidity, and this is what happened on Bybit. So I don't think that's an issue here, guys. Obviously, I don't know exactly what's going to happen next, but I can tell you this: at least they came out with bold statements. They went live. Bybit team went live. Ben himself went live to explain the situation, and he assured everybody that the exchange is still very, very solvent, which is important for us as traders. Okay, so this is it. As you can see, this is what's happening now. If you kind of look at what's been going on with this market, you can see, let me just do a quick refresh, because I think we're getting more of a drawdown here. As you can see, Bitcoin is down 3.3%, and Ethereum is taking a bit of hit as well, 3.7%. In fact, I expected it to get more of a hit than Bitcoin. That's the reality, okay? So I expected XRPs coming down 6.4%, and the rest of the space, guys. I'm not going to go through all this. As you can see, these fractals right now are coming down. We're approximately about 5% dip across the market. As you can see, lots of dips to be had here, lots of buy opportunities to be had, especially if you feel that ultimately this scenario is one of which that's going to come and go. And believe me, if this is all it is, if this is what we got, it will come and go. It came and it's going to be gone. I'll give it another 24 hours. This is going to be old news. Nobody will be talking about it. As long as this is the facts that they just got the exploit, I get it. And most likely we'll keep on tracking the wallets, because now to wallets, the person that stole the tokens, the coins, essentially split them up amongst like 40 wallets, and now they're trackable and people are tracking them, and that's good, because ultimately with people tracking those wallets, you know, the thief is not going to be able to make those liquid. How are you going to make them liquid? It's going to be very difficult to make it liquid without being tracked, and ultimately how is he going to enjoy that money, right? The reality is give it back. It's much better. And as you can see, the market reacted to all of that. Okay, so we have MakerDAO still looking good, guys. Didn't really do much, and we have a few others that barely flinched. And in fact, if you look at IP, you know, it came down a bit, no doubt, but it's still up in the green, and many others are still holding strong, relatively speaking, of course. But again, a 5% dip, you know, on an altcoin, a micro cap, I can feel your pain. So be careful there with the leverage. Be careful with getting too much risk, because ultimately the market right now is in a bit of a fritz. All right, so let's move on. Let's see what's going on here with Bitcoin. I know you're to talk about charts, so let's talk about what's going on with Bitcoin. Bitcoin came down express, took the train straight down, the elevator straight down, all the way to the bottom of the range in one go. And the question is, are we going to get support once again? Let's take a look at this in a little bit more detail. All right, you can see that literally this was the structure that we've been tracking here on the 4-hour, and I did mention this was the resistance. Now, I'm not going to say that the TA was right, because earlier this morning we were seeing a very strong market. It looked like it was going to start to break out, and that's the fact. That's the fact. We were getting good strength. We're getting a bit of volume upticks, which was good, and then all of a sudden the Bybit news, and then quick dump to the downside. So is this TA valid? Is this candle valid? It's valid because the price did come down. It's valid because it did bring a lot of fear in this market. That's why it's valid. But the reality is it's not valid, because as soon as the emotions go away regarding this scenario, I believe Bitcoin will bounce, and so will Ethereum, so will the altcoins, and so on and so forth. The problem is this the catalyst to actually get oversold here on the daily? And that is when the TA is super valid. Okay, so let's talk about that. You can see that I've been tracking the momentum for a good little while here. We're still in the chop zone, and now we're getting a bit of a reversal here, right, as you can see, and all probably triggered by the FUD on Bybit, of course. But what about if we get oversold, guys? Expect the market to take a beating. Expect that to happen, right? Expect something to happen there, negativity. However, as you can see, we've been holding this level very nicely in the chop zone, very nicely, sideways, horizontally, really good. And we were looking pretty strong. At one point, we were looking at like we were going to go overbought again. It's still possible, guys. We can get a bounce and get overbought. We can see that the expansion was tapering in very nicely, looking like it wanted to get back and maybe print a nice green expansion right into here. That would be epic. But ultimately, the daily is still in control, and you can see we're still in the chop zone, and there's nothing really we could do here on the daily time frame, right? As long as we're above 92K, we're still okay on the daily. It's totally fine. Now, if we look at the 4-hour, it's a bit of a different story. We're in a desperate scenario, because in the 4-hour structure, we came back. Remember yesterday I was telling you guys, it's time to de-risk. Be careful with resistance. We're at resistance. And of course, yeah, with the Bybit scenario, definitely, you know, caused this. But the reality is we were already showing signs of weakness even on the 4-hour as we were entering this resistance zone. So guys, if you happen to take profits, great, awesome stuff. Now you can see the rejection caused a lot of people to pay a hefty price for not taking profit. Now all of a sudden we start to see the possibilities and the opportunity. Now, as long as we can still gather some strength around this level, which is at about 95,200, and we are currently there, the risk to reward ratio is absolutely healthy. It's the best opportunity to go long, because you can put a stop loss right underneath, very tight, nice and clean, and you can see volatility is oversold. Let me zoom in here so I can show you what I mean. You can see the volatility is oversold, and I also see, because of this quick move to the downside, I do see a reversion play, a mean reversion play that could possibly happen. And mean reversion plays essentially happen when the purple and the yellow line expand away from one another too quickly, and that means they want to get back together, similar to what happened here, similar to what happened here, similar to what happened here. As soon as you see the purple line get away from the yellow, they want to get back together. It's like a toxic relationship. When they're together, they want to go apart. When they're apart, they want to get back together. So in this case, what we really have to wait for is a bullish response. Just understand this: with this crazy volatility, indicators, all indicators, they're lagging. They're slightly behind the price action, which means that this could be already very oversold, and a quick recovery can come our way. A nice quick one, given, you know, the volatility, right? Or reactions are much faster when there's emotions and you know, FUD and this and that, right? So maybe it's time to buy the dip. Right, maybe it is. As you can see, horizontal supports are great. Now, again, lagging indicator, you can see that we're rolling over here as well. EMA is facing down, red histogram bars. Not a good look, of course. Do we break horizontal? If we break horizontal, you know, we're very likely to come and fill this wick, because it's not a wick on the 4 hour, but it's a wick on the daily, right? On higher time frames, we're going to see wicks, and wicks sometimes get filled. The only thing that keeps me hopeful is that, what about if this ends up being a rounded bottom? But the thing is, I know what the bears are saying, guys. We have to be very cognizant of the fact that the bears are looking at this as a bearish continuation. Right, this was potentially a bear flag, you know, came down, sideways price action. And I know this wick is beautiful, V recovery with a nice rounded bottom, which is still very nice, still very possible to get that rounded bottom here on Bitcoin. So right now, Bitcoin is still okay, but the bigger question is, what is going to go on with ETH? If the hacker is able to sell 1.4, I think it's 1.4 billion dollars worth of ETH, that's a lot of liquidity. That is a lot of dilution that's going to enter the market. Okay, you got to understand that. So yes, that's what people are anticipating, that if somehow those get sold, I'm telling you, that individual cannot sell them into stables, because they'll get flagged and blacklisted real quick. And the only other option is maybe Bitcoin, which would bring up the Bitcoin price. And if anything, okay, fine, they're still trackable. Right, the individual will have a hard time being very liquid, okay, and it'll be very difficult to, you know, escape this without being tracked. So let's see what we go on as a community. I know there's people on socials already tracking the wallets. Let's see what happens here, because ultimately, as we progress, we can start also building confidence in self-regulation and what we're doing it as a community to track these tokens and you know, mitigate all kinds of risk there. So Bitcoin is doing its thing. Okay, so let's take a look at ETH. What's going on with ETH? Of course, there's that pressure on ETH, the potential sell pressure of those tokens hitting the market. Now, we've seen tokens hit the market before. We've seen, but not 1.5 billion. This is probably the biggest one in history. And the ultimate solution is we got to wait and see. But the reality is, if you keep market structure intact and we respect TA, we're still fine here, guys. There's nothing wrong. Right, we came down for a low, now we get a bounce, maybe we go back to range highs, maybe this time we actually break out. Is that possible? Sure, it's possible. Is it possible for us to break out or break down? Yes, that's also possible, but it will also be based on FUD. It would be based on the Bybit FUD and the Ethereum FUD that is circulating. And those emotional volatility, that emotional volatility can bring in very ugly levels or very ugly price action for trading. Not ideal. Okay, not ideal trading scenarios is to trade emotion. So you have decisions. Either you're going to sit and wait and see what happens, or you're going to get into some real critical decisions where you put nice entries at nice stop losses so you can mitigate all kinds of risk to the downside. Look, like right now we might get a bounce and get a recovery right back to previous highs. As people digest the news, it's very likely that people start realizing, you know what, it was nothing. Let's move on. It's all good. Bybit got our back. You know, they also even thought that it's, if they need, they'll take loans and this and that to cover all the Ethereum. It is quite a bit of Ethereum, but you know what? They're a big company. They have like almost $20 billion worth of reserve already. So they're all really stacked, and they're prepared to keep their community intact, which is great, guys, which is great. So I don't feel like there's a big issue here. I feel like if you're okay with risk, it's okay to take a bit of risk right now, but make sure that you have that stop loss. Ethereum is doing okay. Now, as you can see, the volatility came down on the 4 hour. It's definitely oversold. And we see the momentum still in an uptrend. This could be a long scenario, guys. It could be an opportunity for a healthy long. Okay, just keep that in mind. And if we go on the daily, I know the daily time frame doesn't look as good, you know, for ETH. But what I like is that we're back above this level here, which is kind of like a point of control, because you can see that there's a very confluent level right here. These tops. If we're holding these tops as support, maybe this becomes a pivot point and we start moving to the upside and flying through the volume gap back to about $3,000. That's what I'm hoping for ETH in the immediate short term, because the reality is ETH is still in an ugly downtrend that's not defining a reversal yet. right? It's still lower lows and lower highs, and this was the big move, event expansion to the downside that could cause a bit of relief and try to fill in the fair value gap right into here, the volume gap. That is usually the best opportunities to trade, because you find weakness, you find opportunity, right? So in the short term, it's very likely that we should be looking for reversal structures here. But as you can see, there's a bit of work that needs to be done here for Ethereum in the medium short term. And also we saw that this whole Bybit thing is definitely putting you know, some stress on the plans here in the crypto space. Today we were doing good, guys, and all of a sudden, quick reversal. Very unfortunate. Okay, so ETH at the end of the day, guys, look at it. What is it doing? Pretty much nothing really happened here, guys. I know some of the market right now is about 5% to the downside. No big deal just yet. I expected it. In fact, I expected a bigger dip, but luckily it didn't. Okay, so not bad. So we covered the 4 hour. I think we did good here. We can see that there's nothing really happening, and then maybe the 1 hour, you can see it's going sideways, planking with a nice little floor price right around this level. And if you're looking at the daily momentum and the trend oscillator, you know, we're getting to that oversold condition, oversold state in a downtrend. Do we come down for one more dip? Impossible. And given the FUD in the scenario, I would expect it already to be oversold. So maybe the sell pressure is not there. You have to understand that's kind of a sign of strength that we're not breaking structure to the downside. It shows that Ethereum is somewhat showing strength here. I expected a breakdown. This is not a breakdown, guys. This is nothing. All right, guys. So obviously, guys, I'm going to be live tonight at 8 p.m. EST talking about crypto news and price action. If I've offered you any value in this video, do the channel a massive favor. Slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. Take care, guys. Have a good one. And don't forget, buy the dip.